App will be here in 20 minutes, and I will empty out the cabinet so that they have access to the plumbing underneath the sink, which they need.
Okay.
And really, other than that, all you have to do is literally be in
Okay.
the room with them. I'm temporarily off my audit call, but I'll be back on.
And what do I want them to show me how to do?
How to run the dishwasher.
Okay.
And so do you have any money to tip them? Do you have cash?
I have cash. I don't know if I have small bills. Let's say it's probably.
Well, I was going to give each guy, I think there's probably two of them. I was going to give each guy $20.
Hey, Ken, you're unmuted.
Yes. We're doing a serious negotiation for our new dishwasher.
Ken, did you have any extra money for me?
No, not after my wife told me how much we're going to tip them.
What, $20?
Besides, I got to make a donation. No, $20 a piece. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just gave the milkman 75. So besides which, I got to raise money to adopt a highway.
Good idea. If I don't talk, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Anyway, have a nice Christmas.
Same.
Morning, everyone. It's 10:32, and I am calling to order the Tuesday, December 21st meeting of the County Development Committee. Requesting, please, that our clerk please call the roll.
Brown,
Down here.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Board present.
Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon,
Here.
Woniki,
Present.
Braz,
Raj here.
Caius,
Guys present.
Kirog,
Here.
Jepro,
Jepro here.
Martin,
Martin present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have before us the minutes of November 16th. May I have a motion for approval?
Ford moves. Kai
Ford
second.
Ford moves, Kyle seconds. Without comment or question, hearing none, may we please have a vote?
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
thank you, sorry.
Financial reports are on file. Do we have any public comment today? I'm not aware of any. There's no one in the room. First matter before us then is the Building and Zoning Division. The report, please. Waive a petition. Is that what we're going to hear first? Okay, we have petition 4585. By way of introduction, you'll recall that this was before us a month or two ago. It went before the board with continuing discussions on the part of the applicant, the petitioner, with concerns registered over the Department of Transportation's request for a 33-foot right-of-way easement. That has, I think that issue has been resolved, but we have another minor issue that I'm going to ask Keith to explain to us today, and then I have a suggested course of action to move ahead.
Yes, good morning. As the chairman had mentioned, this was before you in November. This is a special use request in the F district for a private landing strip for up to 2 planes. Really, it's probably going to be 1 plane most of the time. We'd recommended 2 because you might have a friend come in every once in a while, but it's be very low intensity use. This is for property on the north side of Norris Road. He does live on the property, the petitioner. And the zoning is F district farming. And we had some aerials just kind of show the nature of the immediate area. You have Forest Preserve here, Village of North Aurora, and some scattered residential along Norris Road. Bliss Road is further to the west. And then zooming in. And then zooming in again, you can see the petitioner's home is right here. And further zoom in. Okay, here's the survey of the property. And in discussions with the petitioner, he is looking to now orient the runway here so he can meet the 500-foot setback from Norris Road. This being a grass runway, he does not see a problem with that. And it just shows, this gets into section 5.13, some stipulations that are, or conditions that need to be required, met under those requirements. And it shows a 1,000-foot setback. They don't want to see more than 200 homes in that area. You can see with the agricultural, the forest preserve, and scattered residential properties is nowhere near that. And here is the approximate 500-foot setback from Norris Road, which again, the petitioner does not see a problem meeting that. He has plenty of space here for that. So this is section 5.13. This was an oversight by staff. We found this after a zoning board meeting. He meets all of the requirements except for section B boy right here. Any landing strip has to be not within 5 mile boundary of any public use airport, which in this case is the Aurora Airport. These are the other conditions. GIS is calculated from the closest point of the Aurora Airport to the southern point of his property is about 4.19 miles. It's technically a little more than that because he's going to have that 500-foot setback, but it would be short of the five miles recommended. There is a precedent that was set back in 1982, the Murdoch Airport, a little hard to read here, but it talks about a variance being granted by the zoning board for, in this case, the airport being within 3 miles or 2.5 miles of Murdoch. And here is a aerial here was generated by GIS showing the approximate location. This airport is now in the village of Big Rock limits. At that time, it was in the county. And Aurora Airport showing about 2.2 miles. So petitioner is going to be about double that. He's going to be further away. And then we did have the two stipulations, the water resource stipulation and KDOT. I believe that this is the one that was a zoning board had voted on. And since then, if Mr. Rickert confirms that KDOT now has no stipulations. And the matter is before you this morning for your consideration.
What I'd like to suggest is this. We have a past precedent for how we've handled these, which essentially requires that the zoning board approve the variance before it walks into our jurisdiction. And it's up to the committee in a sense, but my recommendation to the committee is that we send this to the zoning board so that we protect the procedural aspect, which will avoid the potential difficulty of either us or the petitioner having delays down the road because we didn't technically comply with the terms of our ordinance. So my suggestion to the committee and my request is at this point that we have a motion to send this to the development committee or the development, excuse me, the zoning board. And that would be at their December, what Keith? What
January 11th meeting.
January 11th meeting. And then it would, in theory, come back to us for our review. I'm wondering if we get that recommendation, we've already approved this, okay? If we get that recommendation from the zoning board, I'd like to have somebody review it to find out if we can, if a committee by consensus, we could have it go directly to the executive committee and not have another meeting here. What I'm asking the members of the committee, what do you think about?
I would, Mr. Chairman, Ford.
Mr. Ford?
Thank you. I would agree with that. That sounds like the right move that we should make with this.
So we wouldn't effectively create a lot of delay, but we would properly bring it back before the zoning board of appeals. Mr.
Question, Shepro?
Yeah,
Just a second, Ken. Mr.
Brown speaking. I've got a question. When the notice goes out to the neighbors within that 250-foot radius, I believe it is, from the property, does it indicate the location and how the landing strip's going to be sited on the property? In other words, before it looked like it was kind of going north to south. Now it looks like it's going more the east to west directions. So I'm wondering if that might be something that would raise a concern by the neighbors. Does a new notice have to go out when it goes back to the zoning board?
We could include that. We could include an exhibit like that to the neighbors. That's not a problem.
Well, and the question in my mind is whether we need an additional notice. Is that, or is that, are you concluding, Keith, did the state's attorney conclude that we would need a notice?
I'll confirm with the state's attorney, but we have time to get that notice out in addition to a newspaper publication and getting a sign out.
Okay,
That's all doable.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on my question is I find that to be somewhat of a concern. I would think, you're completely changing what this flight plan would be for the neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thought process in the recommendation I made is so that we properly review the matter without undue delay to the applicant, but to reflect the issues. And that's, I agree with you, Mr. Brown, that's a valid concern and that ought to be part of the notice. Mr. Fries?
Well, no, I guess at this point, then we shouldn't approve it today. we were talking about maybe approving it and moving it directly to exec.
I think you're right. It's.
So I think at
with
this
the-
point,
With the
I-
addition of Mr. Brown, I think at this point in time, we probably do need to see it again. So my request would be then for a motion to refer this back to the zoning board of appeals. Mr. Fraz moves
And can we also add the notification of the
with
neighbors?
appropriate notification and other necessary adherence to the proper process.
Sure.
Barb, you seconds.
And-
Barbara, Nikki seconds.
A quick question,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. So does it come back to development then, or does it go right to executive? Which way are we going to go with that?
Well, right now, we're not, it's going to come back here the way we've
Okay.
got it set now.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Caius?
just a quick clarification maybe on the stipulation that it be with outside the 5 miles. Is that's part of our regulations? Is the?
And that's
the
our,
county-
that's our ordinance.
That's a county
Correct,
ordinance? Is
yes.
that? Is that
5.13 of the zoning ordinance, correct?
dictated by the FAA? Or is there a higher authority that said that? I know that we gave a waiver, but it was clear back in the 80s, so a lot of things have changed. since then.
That's a question I've had too. I did talk to a representative of the FAA last week. He was not aware of any 5-mile radius. And the state emailed me back. They did not indicate that either. So I don't, but you're correct. I think this is an older part of our ordinance. And talking to the FAA representative in the 70s and early 80s, I guess with the Cessna technology, the private airports and private travel and affordable aircraft was the big thing back then. And we had maybe 10 or 11 private airstrips approved in that time. They've waned significantly. When I talked to the FAA rep, he said he hasn't had an airstrip application in years. It's just not a big popular thing anymore.
So they don't have anything that states that this has
Currently,
to be
he
enforced.
had
or
not
anything.
heard any, the FAA representative had not heard of any 5-mile requirement that he's aware of.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Martin,
Yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Wojnicki.
Yes.
Raz, yes.
Passes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, Frost.
Excuse me?
Frost said yes.
No, Fraz. Do we have any zoning petitions today? I think not. Okay, thank you. Planning and special projects, may we have a report, please? We have a bright young face with us here today.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Matt Tansley, planner with Development and Community Services. I believe you're all familiar with the Planning Division staff report. It just is a quick summary of planning activities grouped by subject and related committee or commission. I did want to draw the committee's attention this month to an article that was published by our colleague, historic preservation planner, Julia Thavong. She published an article on the county's Rustic Road program in a quarterly edition of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions. That article is attached to the report, and it's just a very nice summary of the Rustic Road program, talking about the history of it, as well as how the planning process behind the program works and how the corridor management plans are developed. So I would just encourage everyone to take a look at that and learn a bit more about the program. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about any items on the report. And thank you.
Any questions or comments? Madam Chair.
Hi, thank you. I had a meeting with, in Campton Hills, and there was an interest in extending the Rustic Road program into Campton Hills. Is that something, who designates that? I mean, and can a municipality come to you and say, we would like to have this road be designated as a rustic road, even though it's fully paved?
Right. As I understand it, I know that the county can enter intergovernmental agreements with municipalities to have rustic road corridors that do overlap with municipalities. I know the process does start with recommendations that the commission receives, and then those are put forth to, I believe, development and transportation committees. But I'd be happy to check with Julia if you'd like more detail on how that process works.
And perhaps if you could send that to Ms. Winicki and myself, since it has to deal directly with Campton Hills. And I don't know the criteria for it. I mentioned that I said, well, maybe famous people had to live there, or there was a significant incident in history that had to occur during that period of time in the development of Kane County. I'm just using my back knowledge of historical preservation. You know, why should this road be designated as a rustic road? What does that mean?
Right. Yeah, I'd be happy to share that criteria with you.
I have a question and a comment. That when they're designated rustic roads, does that become a county road, or is that just simply a county designation of a?
Designation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
so
the second thing is just.
Most of them are actually township roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second is just a superficial comment. I was raised in the country where all the roads are rustic and everybody was dying to get them paved. So I've now moved into an area where they're considered treasures. Yeah.
I believe Shepro, the rustic road program, I believe, says it is for county unincorporated areas. That doesn't mean that it couldn't be amended or an intergovernmental agreement to extend the program.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, do we have any subdivision activity today? There being none. Do we have a report from environmental resources? We have none of those. Water resources, we have none of those. Mr. Berger, do we have anything from you today?
Good morning, sir. We do not have anything for your consideration this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. New business, we have the routine of approving the county's board's authorization of wage increases for fiscal year 2022 for department heads under jurisdiction of this committee. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Fries moves, Ms. Winicki seconds. Do we have comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Woodnicki,
Yes.
Bras,
Raz, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion is approved. May I have a motion, please, to place reports on file? Ms. Winicki move, oh, excuse me, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martin. I had my hand up, but you were going quickly.
You looked a
I
little
didn't
bit
want
like
to
Emily
interrupt.
Latello when you were.
I just have a question regarding water resources. I read in the paper that I think it's 23 or 24, that all municipalities are supposed to document and map where their lead pipelines, water pipelines are. Do we have that requirement in our unincorporated areas that Kane County would be in charge of?
That is not a requirement under anyone that is not served by a public water supply.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion then to place reports on file? Ms. Winicki moves, Mr. Fries seconds. Comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Woodnicki,
Yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. Reports are filed. We do have need for executive session. Am I correct, Madam State's Attorney? All right, may I have a motion, please, to go into executive session? Dr. Iqbal moves, Mr. Kenyon seconds.
Mr.
Roll,
Chairman, Shepro,
Yes, Mr. Shepro.
what is the stated purpose for the
Oh, I'm
executive session?
sorry, for the discussion of possible release of
Release
closed
of-
session minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone online, you will be receiving an invite to go into the closed session. Be aware we are
Oh.
live streaming, so
I
until
don't
I
think
give
we
you
had
the
the vote,
okay,
did we?
anything
We
you
didn't
say
vote.
may be going out live to the public. Give us a moment to get transitioned and we'll get started again momentarily.
I don't think we had the vote, did we?
We didn't have the vote.
We need a vote?
Yes.
Do we yet need one? I'm sorry. We
They
had
watch you
the-
like a hawk, sir.
Yeah.
we had the motion and we had the second. Am I?
Yeah, you're still okay.
Okay, then I'd like to call the vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicki,
Yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Caius.
Caius, yes.
Passes.
We are now in closed session.
Thank you.
Just one more moment. Everyone accept your invites, please. Okay, you are back in open session.
Thank you. I am excuse me, roll call. I'm in such a hurry to make up for Mr. Fraz's delay in this meeting that I.
Brown,
Down yet, here.
Berman,
Here.
Ford,
Ford, present.
Iqbal,
All present.
Kenyon,
Here.
Winnicki,
Present.
Braz, Caius,
Caius, present.
Pirog, Shepro. Shepro. Martin.
Martin present. We have a quorum. I request, please, a motion to approve the release of closed session minutes in accordance with Exhibit A as prepared by our state's attorney. Mr. Kenyon moves. Mr. Fraz seconds. Any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, those tabs that are listed on the agenda are incorrect. They cannot be 13A and 13B. They have to be independent. We are out of executive session right now.
I'm sorry, say that again.
agenda list item number 13
All right.
in bold letters, and then it says A and B, as if those two items pertain to executive session, but they don't. So the return to open session is an independent, or it should not even be there. And B should be number 14. So we did not discuss, these are the items that are out of the executive session.
I think Mr. Iqbal is correct. That's just really could be rearranged for subsequent meetings.
Okay, well, let's consider the comment received and we will make those changes. And all acknowledge today that we are now in open session and separately we're in closed session for review of the matter. So may I have the motion, please, to review release of closed session minutes in accordance with Exhibit A as prepared by our state's attorney's office. Mr. Kenyon moves. Dr.
I'm a second.
Do we have comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal, Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicki,
Yes.
Bras, Caius,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes, motion carries. Before Mr. Kenyon makes the appropriate motion, I just, where we are at the end of the year here, I wish everyone a continued happy holidays, and let's all have a healthy, happy, and productive new year. So, Mr.
And winter started at 9:58 this morning.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Kenyon moves, Ms. Winnicki seconds. All in favor of adjournment, signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
Yeah.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting stands